grace as I have experienced it, in relationship with others, in nature, in my own backyard, and in its most feral state, startling, staggering, and wholly bewildering. In that vein, I embarked on a series of new adventures to see how grace would turn up in travels and experiences with new people and exotic creatures, in strange lands, and in ways I could not have anticipated had I tried. This book is meant to point out grace when and where it happens, and I'm an excellent pointer, to show folks what it looks like, tastes like, sounds like, because everyone experiences grace even if they don't realize it. It's kind of like Moby's music. You could ask your average 60-something-year-old retired banker in Connecticut if he's ever heard of Moby and or his music, and the response you'd receive more than likely would be a resounding, "No, what's a Moby?" But if you say, "Remember that American Express commercial where Tiger Woods is putting around New York City? Remember the song playing? That was Moby." "Oh, okay then, I guess I have heard Moby," our theoretical retired banker in New Canaan might say. So, what exactly is a Moby? That's like grace. Not that grace is a pretentious vegan techno-rocker, but you get the idea. Grace is everywhere, all around us, all of the time. We only need the ears to hear it and the eyes to see it. It is much easier, and I would argue more helpful, to describe what grace feels like through stories and images that illustrate the varied ways grace is experienced when encountered in the wild than it is to attempt to define it conclusively, to trap it or cage it. Maybe that's why Jesus was so fond of parables. Nothing describes the indescribable like a good yarn. So let me tell you a story. When I left the newspaper office here in Chicago on the eve of Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, it was sleeting sideways. I had neither gloves nor a handheld windshield scraper thingy, but I did have writer's block, a screaming headache, and a zit between my eyebrows. Mired in the self-pity ring of my own private inferno, I was feeling anything but thankful. The worst part of what could have been dismissed as a simple pre-holiday funk was that I knew exactly how ridiculous I was being for not feeling grateful for the blessings that have come my way, and they are many. This unpleasant realization plunged me into the quicksand of self-loathing, which manifested itself most festively in waves of vehicular-induced misanthropy. By the time I arrived home, more or less without incident, about 90 minutes later, a commute that usually takes 20 or 30 minutes, I was so foul of spirit I had to put my head down for a few minutes and then locate some emergency comfort carbohydrates. Hey, no judging. If recent news reports are any indication, apparently even God has the occasional need for comfort food. Why else would God, and or the Mother of God, appear on grilled cheese sandwiches, fish sticks, and tortilla shells? Have you ever noticed that the divine never seems to turn up in a mixed green salad or a nice plate of heirloom tomatoes? While my takeout lasagna was warming in the oven, I flipped on the TV and found Bruce Almighty on one of the 129 HBO channels we get. Sure, I'd seen it before, about a dozen times. But it had just started, and, well, familiarity is comforting, or the devil you know is better than the one you don't, or fine, Jim Carrey makes me laugh. I'm not proud, but it's the truth. After a few silly scenes, I walked into the other room, leaving Bruce, Carrey, to have his meltdown on the Maid of the Mist at Niagara Falls while I checked on my comfort food. Not cooking fast enough. Figures, I grumbled to myself, storming around the house, scaring the cats. Then it happened. The cosmic chiropractic. I checked my voicemail at work, and there was the message I'd been waiting for. Good news. Great news. The marvelous, expectation-blowing sort that catches you off guard. By the time I put the receiver down, the pall had lifted. I could see clearly now the sleet had gone. In fact, the sleet had turned into big, fluffy snowflakes dancing on the other side of my window, decorating the street outside with the first snowfall of the season. It was beautiful, and the lasagna was ready. Life is beautiful, and I'm an idiot who doesn't deserve any of it. But that's the thing about grace. And that's why grace is what I was most thankful for that Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving, every moment for that matter, but sometimes you just see it more clearly than others. People regularly ask me why I believe in God. The simple answer, and it's my answer, in other words, it may not be your answer, and that's okay, is grace.